All right, folks, welcome back to the Night's Watch. I am Jacob.
I'm Alex.
We're doing round two. We recorded this pod last night and had some technical difficulties.
I decided to just not take any of my microphone inputs last night and entirely got a good solid 10 minutes of your dogs
eating
and slurping down their soft food.
And their little nails on the tile. And, yeah. But anyways, we're back. So we are recording this the day after our win against the Predators. Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. Last week we didn't have a lot to talk about.
One game. This week has been five games.
5 games and all wins.
So 6 in a row.
Yeah.
Since the Boston game. And all pretty good wins, right? Like, I would say the only bad game was against the Blackhawks. You can make an argument of like that's like the tail end of the road trip, and it's been a long week, right? And we always play that team. I don't know. We don't play them up to our ability, and then like we always let the worst team claw back into a game against us.
Yeah,
like this year just hasn't been that great against the Blackhawks, but we still won 5-3. And so the Red Wings, we won 6-3, Lightning 4-2. The Wild, probably our best game, 5-1. Blackhawks 5-3, and then the Preds last night 3-1. And the teams
I would say I think the Lightning was the best game just because it was against
was
against a great team.
Yeah,
and we scored 3 goals in the first period.
A team that's essentially a contender, right? Because I would count the Wild as like a
fringe
right now because they've lost a lot of games, and St. Louis has been so hot. St. Louis might get that wild card one. And the Wild's just been not good, without Kaprizov, sorry. And Kaprizov.
Where'd you learn to pronounce names?
Kaprizov. Sometimes my speech impediment takes over. Yeah, Kaprizov, and then it's been Foligno's been out, right? They've had Brodin's been up and down, Middleton's been in and out.
Yeah.
It's been all around a weird season for them.
They're basically in a tailspin.
Yeah, so. They're actively.
But hey, we capitalized.
Yeah, exactly. And like you said, the Lightning
still got to win those games, right?
Yeah, but we won all those games, and we looked pretty good in all of them. The Blackhawks game, giving up some of those breakaways. Like now, we didn't watch that game at all because we're at the Silver Knights game. But watching some highlights, I'm like, oh yeah, they're just like having free 1-on-0s.
Well, I caught most of the first period on my way home from work on the radio. Mm-hmm. And then I caught a good chunk of the second period driving from my house to the Silver Knights Arena. And yeah, man, it was like, especially that second period, it sounded like it was just every fucking play was an odd man break for Chicago. And Gary and Dan even kept saying like, oh, they're cherry picking. Vegas needs to wake up. They're cherry picking. They're trying to get behind them.
Yeah.
And the score kept going the wrong way, and we were at the Silver Knights game, and we're both checking the score and like rolling our eyes. Like, what the fuck,
God damn it, yeah. And then, but Olofsson had a great game, and they found a really good line between Karlsson, Smith, and Olofsson.
Fantastic! I love that
looked
line.
Really good together, and then against the Preds, they looked really good too. Like they were all playing defense. They had some of the best chances. No, that line's looked really good, and I think they're going to keep it together. But
I was going to say that this brings up the question when Hertl comes back, which possibly is going to be quicker than we anticipated.
That's something we haven't brought up yet. Was Hertl did get injured in the game against the Lightning. The game was over at that point, and he had a free, basically a 1-on-0 with breakaway on Vasilevsky. Vasilevsky did save it, but the puck went into the corner, so Hertl went after it.
He got it. He got the rebound.
Yeah, he got the rebound, but then Lilleberg decided that he was going to cross-check him, or either way it would have been a penalty, but cross-check him straight in the board, shoulder first.
It was a dirty fucking hit.
Hit.
No real way around it.
Yeah.
Even on the broadcast, because I was at this game, so I watched the highlights later. Yeah. But in real time, it looked dirty.
It looked bad, yeah.
And the audience was not happy, especially when they reduced the 5 to a 2-minute minor.
It should have been a 5-minute major.
Yeah, and
set of precedence.
Exactly. And granted, would that have affected the outcome of the game? Probably not. It was pretty much over at that point.
Yeah, you probably would have put in a couple more goals if it was a 5-minute major. But
and even John Cooper said credit to our performance that game, and kind of why I said I thought it was the best of this winning streak. He said he literally straight up said he's like we could have gone on for 2 or 3 more periods and we weren't going to score. Like he's like the defense was just clamping down too good. The goalie was too hot. Like it just wasn't going to happen. But anyways,
I didn't see that one. Yeah,
it was dirty hit. And when I watched the highlights later, you could hear Shane immediately. He's like, he's a former player.
Yeah.
He's like, that is a dirty hit to hit someone at that speed, at that distance from the boards.
It's pretty crazy when dirty hit against Vegas happens, and
no one cares.
No. I would say like 75 to 80% of our hockey or online forums are actually like, no, this was bad. Like this was a bad hit. Like most of the comments I saw were like, yeah, I don't know how that's just a single minor, but like this was bad. This was intent to injure. Like
it was just, whether it was intent to injure or just being brain dead or just what it really was to me is he was just mad that he got beat.
Yeah,
he got beat clean, and then Hertl got a clean shot off, and then like you said, Vasi saved it. And then Hertl still beat him to the rebound.
Yeah, because we were already getting ready to position into it because Saad and Dorofiev were coming right behind and getting ready to set up again, and it could have been a goal. But then what really pissed me off is that he didn't answer for it. Make that hit.
I don't know if they showed it on TV, but Kolesar was really trying to go at him.
Kolesar got a penalty for that.
Exactly. Yeah. It was such bullshit. Like he kept going at him, and
that's how they got their second goal.
Yeah, egging him on. Trying to basically, like, you could tell he's like drop him, and Lilleberg kept skating away.
And you know what really gets me is like usually when that happens to a young, like Lilleberg, I'm pretty sure is a younger guy, but usually a teammate will be like, oh man, like, I know he did something bad, but like, you don't mess with him. Nobody from the Lightning was stopping Kolesar or getting in his face. And they're like, well, you injured one of their best players. You're going to have it. This is fucking hockey, kid.
Well,
like,
that's how it works too, right? Like, people are like, oh, well, can't you just send your 2 bruisers out? It's like, no, it's like, you fucked up. You pay for it. It doesn't matter who you fight. What matters, you have to fight. It doesn't matter who you face.
Yeah, I mean, look, I fucking hated it because because Matthew Knies is a fucking idiot and decided that White Cloud killed his fucking season or some shit like that. God. But he was the one that took the hit. He was like, you know what? I'm gonna go fight the guy that hit me. I don't want to fight anyone else. I'll respect him for that.
Yeah, and frankly, I agree. I don't think White Cloud had to do that, but the fact that he did, I respect it.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, okay, hey, fine. All right, let's fight.
You think I made a bad hit on you? Let's do it. Like, we're fine. Whereas, like, with this, like, we won't ever play the Predators again. Not Predators, I'm sorry. The Lightning again until if we make the Stanley Cup final and they do too.
Yeah.
I don't think Hertl's going to want to fucking go after. Like, it all matters too much, right?
And I do think, because I forgot what it was. I think it might have been a Vegas player too, but there was a fight that happened where the fight was from the previous year.
Probably with Stone.
Yeah.
The whole Stone Blues thing?
Maybe. No, it was like this year. It was like this year. I'm trying to remember if it was a Vegas player or just a generic. But anyways, the point being, that shit can bleed over to the next year. And I fully expect our first game against the Lightning next year.
It's going to be brutal, yeah. It's going to be some retribution.
Lilleberg has to fucking drop the gloves.
He has to pay.
Yeah, and I mean, come on, like, whether it's against Kolesar or whether Hertl, I don't think
doesn't matter.
Hertl doesn't really fight.
Kolesar, Haig, anybody, but like,
even then, like, just do it, because like, I love Kolesar and I love his spirit, but he doesn't win a lot of fights. Like, he's not.
Haig's a better fighter. Yeah.
It's not like you're fighting fucking Ryan Reeves or something.
No,
like,
you're not fighting some heavyweight.
You can score up for Kolesar for half a minute and then hit the ice and call it good. You know?
Exactly. Like,
it's about the willingness to do it.
Yeah, that's obviously the hit pissed me off, but like the non-willingness to, pay for what answer the bell, like,
just acknowledge that I made a dirty play and I injured like one of their best players.
Yep. Yeah,
and who the fuck is Emil Lilleberg?
Exactly,
what have you earned? What have you earned in this league compared to Tomas Hertl?
Yeah.
That's all.
And and then like you said, it seems to, at least at this time, not to be as serious, but this is per Ken, right, on Sinbin. So he's been wrong before, so we'll take that with a grain of salt. But
he's also been right, so you never know.
He's also been right, so potentially not as bad as we thought. You would hope that he comes back
because
soon.
If it was, have him. If it's a broken collarbone or a badly separated shoulder, that could be like a 6-week thing.
That's through the playoffs.
That could be missing the first round of the playoffs,
second round potentially too.
Yeah. So
knock
on wood, it's not that.
That'd be worst case scenario. And then also Petro's been out, but I think it's because of that lingering injury that he's had since dropping out of the Four Nations. And we've talked about it on this podcast before. He's dealing with something.
It's clear.
There's something that's hurting him, like whether that be whatever it is in his body. I think it's lower body because you can tell like he can wince, or like his like balance and his skating isn't as good as it's been.
And he's just not himself, right? Like, and I really hate. I don't know why I've mentioned this before. People love to bag on Petro, but Petro's great. He's one of the main reasons we won the cup. And even
stat last night. The Theo tied the most assists in a single season for a Golden Knight. The record was Alex Pietrangelo.
There we go.
So,
but yeah, and the reason why I know it's an injury and not just getting older, he started this year fucking phenomenal,
hot. Yeah,
the first like month or so. I was like, he's on pace for a career year already.
Well, I mean,
he looked electric.
Yeah, look at some of these other guys though too, like him. 2 long playoff runs, right? It takes its toll. Carlson is just coming back, and he's been looking electric, but he was gone. He was out of on LTIR
and nothing got officially said, but I think we're both pretty sure that that's whatever was bothering him in the Dallas series.
Yeah, whatever, because he was in pain in the Dallas series, and he wasn't playing to start the season, so it was some kind of injury that lasted a long time, and now he's finally healthy. Like Stone looks, we talked about like yesterday. Stone is like, he looks faster. I know, like, we can make that joke because he's never looked fast, right?
Well, how fast is he, Alex?
He looks more agile, and he looks a little bit like Tyler put it away. Like, it's like he has like a shiftiness to him that he hasn't had in a while. Like, you can tell when a guy's feeling good. Like, same with Eichel, like looking good. But like with Petro, I don't think he's ever fully felt good. Probably since like Thanksgiving, like.
Yeah,
it's kind of where like, you kind of started seeing kind of like the cracks, in his game, probably because of the injury he was dealing with.
Yeah, and I think we take for granted, these guys, they're all beat up, especially this time of year. Mm-hmm. You just can't play high level hockey without.
Also, you take
every shot, every block shot, every sprint, it all takes its fucking toll, right?
Not everybody's a Terminator like Brayden McNabb, right? Like,
exactly.
That man's fucking farm built, fucking hard as steel for some way, some reason. But you also look at Pietrangelo. He's had a long career, and he's 34, which is obviously older for hockey players and defensemen. But he's at 34. He's had an extremely long professional career.
Yeah,
he's led 2 teams to a Stanley Cup.
Yeah,
he's played a lot of games. He almost retired. What was that? 2 years ago?
Well, yeah, that's because of his daughter.
His daughter. He's had a lot of personal things to deal with, and everybody's like, "Well, he looks awful." I'm like, "Yeah, he's 34, and he's basically got the body of a 48, 50-year-old man playing high level hockey." Like that's how much the wear and tear works on a hockey player like that.
Yeah. So. I'm optimistic that this is just, hey, we're going to rest you for a few games.
We don't need Theo. Well, like we said, because Theo's back.
Exactly. Theo came back, which is, we can talk about that next. But Theodore came back from his injury. And the second that happened, they're like, all right, Pietrangelo,
you don't have to do everything.
And it's been working. It's been working just fine.
Yeah, Korzak's looked good playing with Haig, and Hannafin and Whitecloud look great together.
They do.
And then McNabb and Theo, we know that pairing's
phenomenal.
Best pairing in team history, probably. But
yeah, so Theodore made his return on this trip.
He's had what? He's had quite a few points since coming back, right?
At least one, but yeah, I think you're at a couple. I should have looked this up.
Yeah.
But the point being, points aside, he looks good. And one thing we brought up last week was, Theodore just has such a huge impact on the 5-on-5 play.
Yes.
Just from the minutes that he plays, and the fact that he can pass so well and he can skate so well.
Passing, skating, and puck handling.
He doesn't just jam it down the boards. He can find a guy and get it to his tape, and then suddenly you get a chance.
There are only a few defensemen like Theo that have an elite everything. Elite skater, elite puck handling, elite passing, elite IQ. The only other one right now that can come that is better than him is Cale Makar.
Yeah.
And I would say Werenski and Hughes are there too, but Cale Makar is the best at what he does.
I feel like what people don't realize is that, honestly, Theodore really is in that company.
Yeah, he was before he got injured. He was
exactly.
It was Makar, Hughes, Werenski, Shea Theodore.
Well, you told me about this, and I posted about it on the socials a while ago, and it was before his injury, but I don't know if it was The Athletic, but there's some kind of listing of I don't know if it was Norris candidate, something for defensemen, and
he wasn't even
Theodore didn't even make the top 10. I'm like, you guys are fucking insane.
You're
gonna put Jake Sanderson over Shea Theodore? Give your balls a tug. Mm-hmm. Come on.
He was having an elite season, and if unfortunately,
I don't know what it is. I think it's a combination of he plays for Vegas, and also he's just not flashy enough. I don't give a fuck how flashy he is. He gets the result,
Yeah, because it's an if, right? Because it didn't happen. If he did not get injured at the Four Nations, he probably would end up, as of today, maybe number 2, number 3 in scoring, because Werenski is really slowed down, as is that entire Columbus team has. Hughes has been in and out of the lineup, right, and hasn't been as nearly as elite as he has been, just with how struggling.
Poor fella has the weight of the city of Vancouver on his shoulders.
So he'd be up there still, right? And it was just unfortunate. Unfortunate injury. It happens. Just it could have happened in a game, any given game, right?
Yeah.
Shit happens like that.
Could have happened in fucking practice.
Yeah, exactly. But he deserves to be in the talks of elite defenseman in the league. Not only is he an elite offensive defenseman, he's also elite defensively, right? He's gotten so much better. That was kind of the big gripe of us for him coming in. He's got the ability to do everything.
Well, that it really is a question of who you pair him with. At the start of the year, it was clear that Cassidy was trying to make sure we had scoring after everyone left in free agency. So a natural course of action, you put Theodore and Petro together, and
yeah.
But Petro is always going to be the guy that wants to assert himself, and not even just number one, but just on the ice.
He's gonna be the one that wants to pinch down and make those plays.
His instincts are going to be to drive offense.
Yep.
Yep. So it kind of led to hemorrhaging goals the wrong way.
Yeah.
So probably a good idea to split them up because they both have that instinct, right?
Yeah.
But yeah. Power play 5-on-5, but we did notice he is on power play 2 now.
Right now, yeah. But that also, we talked about it, I think we talked about it last week when he was supposed to be coming back, that allows you now to run 5 forwards on power play 2 in addition to 5 forwards on power play 1. We weren't doing the 2 defensemen thing. And so with power play 2, granted with Hertl out, right, Carlson's up on power play 1. That power play 1 still looks great. But power play 2, they scored last night. It was Smith, Barbashev, Waugh, and Olofsson, I think. Mm-hmm. And then obviously
Riley Smith's first goal back.
First goal
as a Golden Knight. Part 2. First goal since he won us the Stanley Cup.
Exactly, and he looked really good. And we talked about it yesterday. He's looked insane, right? Just playing so well and doing everything right, and he just hasn't connected. And finally, yesterday, it was all connecting. He had a secondary assist for Olofsson goals, and with the Blackhawks, he scored yesterday. He's again, the entire team is heating up at the exact right time.
Yeah, and it is kind of funny because in his post game, Smith said something about how sometimes it's your worst opportunities that go in because. Yeah, he has had some grade A fucking opportunities that just didn't go in, and you're just sitting there watching. You're like, how did that not go in? How did that not happen? But hey, sometimes you're banging away on your backhand on a scramble, and it leaks through, and you don't know how. But
yeah,
they all count the same. So I'm just happy that that he got it, so he can have that off his back. And like we mentioned earlier, that line with him and Carlson and Olofsson has been fantastic.
Just lights out. And I don't know kind of what brought Cassidy to put it together, but it looks good. I mean, and that's also disregarding Brett Howden getting his 22nd goal last night.
Yep.
Bretsky had his 22 goals.
Wayne Bretsky.
He's looked really good. He's been playing up and down the lineup. He's such a utility player that he's played with Carlson and scored. He's played with Pearson and scored. He's fast and he's defensively responsible.
And I think I sent you this. It was like I don't know if it was a whole article or just a tweet from Travis Yost, but he basically was just posting Brett Howden's stats from this year, and the question that he posed was, is Vegas building another Chandler Stevenson? And it kind of feels like it.
Yeah, right.
It kind of feels like it
because you think about the guy, like you don't look at Brett Howden as like this is an elite player, but he doesn't have to be. But he still was on a line that was probably our best line for a long stretches of the Cup run of Howden, Stevenson, and Stone.
Mm-hmm.
That line was a nightmare for people to play against because what you get Eichel, Marchessault, and who is running on that line? Barbashev.
Mm-hmm.
You get that line, and that's a nightmare. And then guess what comes over the boards next? It's just rolling after rolling, right? And he was on that line. He centered that line for a good majority of the playoffs, and that line was great. And that line, he
played on the left wing.
I mean, but he's a center. He can take it.
And that's the beauty of it, right?
But that line, if Marshy didn't play, you had essentially throughout that lineup, you had in the top six, you had four guys that could have won the Conn Smythe between Marchessault, Eichel, Stone, and Stevenson, and Brett Howden contributed to all of those guys at some point in time. And he's such just an elite utility player. Like, what I mean? Like, you need a utility guy that can play up and down the lineup.
Well, I've said it before and I'll say it again, but the thing with Brett Howden, my favorite Brett Howden story is when McCrimmon traded for him. Because remember, when we got him from New York, he was basically just seen as like a failed prospect,
Yeah, he was like a late first round pick, right?
And people, he was drafted for his offense, and people thought he was going to put up points and all this, and he's fast and he shoots and this and that. He comes to us, he kind of takes on more of that, like you said, utilitarian role. But when McCrimmon traded for him, when he was asked about it, he said, "Well, I'm betting on the person."
Yeah,
he's like, "I know Brett. You played for me in juniors." He's like, "I'm betting on the person because he has good character and he works hard and he doesn't give up and he's willing to improve himself." And sure enough, all these stories I've been hearing this year are about how Kolesar and Howden, they took this offseason very seriously.
Buddies, yeah, and they've been training all season. Yeah.
Exactly. Like they did not like, okay, yeah, off season, let's go to fucking Cabo and fucking get fat and drunk for 3 months.
And look at they're both having career years.
Exactly.
The best seasons they've ever had, and they both got contract extensions.
Exactly. And we were like, oh, and obviously the focus is on Howden right now, but Kolesar's also had an amazing year.
He's had a really good. He's had a defensively, like, this is always a fact I love to bring up when people are like, oh, Kolesar. Every single year that he's played, he's been a starting player for the Golden Knights. He is in the top 90th percentile of defensive metrics for a forward.
Yep.
He is an elite defensive forward that nobody talks about.
Exactly. Well, because everyone's just like, oh, you're black and you play fourth right wing. You're the new Reeves. Yeah, you like to fight. Let's fight.
Kolesar
he is so much more than that. He is so much more than that.
Nothing against Ryan Reeves. I love Ryan Reeves.
I love Ryan Reeves too.
But Kolesar,
people forget that Ryan Reeves was a good fourth line player for us. It wasn't just the fighting.
Kolesar's a more complete player. Like, he can do.
Yes.
He can do everything. And he's just been so good. But yeah, Brett Howden's been great. I mean, let's look at it this way. Brett Howden right now is playing fourth line center, and he's got 22 goals. Yeah. I don't think there's many fourth line centers that have 22 goals.
I mean, I'm trying to think of center depth. There really isn't center depth like this, except for Colorado, maybe.
And that's if Landeskog is back too. And we talked about this in the failed recording about what center depth would you compare, right? Like with Hertl back, it's going to be Eichel, Hertl, Carlson, or Howden. Knowing that Howden can slot into a center, you can bump up Howden to the third line.
And that's the beauty, because if Olofsson keeps it up and they keep that third line together,
Pearson's not playing.
Exactly, and I love Pearson, and he's been great, and he earned his contract, and it's great. But if your fourth line is Howden, Kolesar, because Howden, is a great center, and then Howden and Kolesar, like we said, they have that synergy and they have that bond, and they just, not just off the ice but on the ice, they play so well together.
They feed off each other really well,
and
they know where it feels like a Kolesar, and it's funny because we bring up Kolesar again, but it feels like a Kolesar.
They're interlinked.
Feels like a Kolesar. It feels like a Kolesar and Carrier situation.
Yeah,
because if you remember in the playoffs against Dallas, those two were just everywhere together, and just fucking a nightmare for Dallas.
Exactly, because it's the same elements, right? Speed, physicality, scoring.
Yeah, and
not scoring like top six scoring, but noticeable,
dirty, like
noticeable, like they chip in. You know?
like that again. In the playoffs are a week and a half out, but going into the playoffs, it's close, right?
I'm so excited.
I'm so excited. Like, it feels good to be where we're at and how well the team is playing. Because like we brought it up many times. Was the 5-on-5 was what we've been worried about. But fucking this week, the 5-on-5 has been electric.
It's been much better.
It's been dominant, right?
And the fact that it's been dominant with Hertl out.
Yeah.
It's things like that. Obviously, you don't want to lose Hertl, and we pray to God he's back quickly.
But being so dominant against the Wild.
Seeing the way that your depth steps up.
Yeah.
This is a deep team, dude.
Because the Wild is a good they're a good defensive team. Maybe their forward depth isn't as good because, they're missing some guys, right? But defensive wise, they still had Middleton, they still had Faber, they still had Spurgeon, they still had guys that were good, right? And then the Preds defensively haven't been that bad. It's just they can't score, and overall the team is a disaster, right? But like you said, just where it's coming from. Stone scoring again, but Howden scoring. And then Olofsson is scoring. Carlson is scoring. Smith is scoring.
Let me ask you a question. Should Kelly McCrimmon win the, what's it called?
GM of the Year. I don't remember the name of it. I know what you're talking about, right? The GM of the Year.
GM of the Year. I feel like he should, frankly. If we have a good playoff. Because I think they vote on that award after the second round.
Yeah.
So if we get through the first two rounds, signing Brandon Saad.
Great.
Reacquiring Riley Smith.
Great.
And just the fact that...
and then what he did
look at the guys that we let go of, and people... And we were panicking about it.
Yeah, letting go of Marshy.
I'm not going to pretend that I wasn't.
Yeah.
But
Thompson,
the entire hockey world, like, how are you going to let go of fucking Logan Thompson and Jonathan Marchessault and Chandler Stevenson and Will Carrier and fucking Michael Amadio? Like, and then you look at the roster, and we were all thinking, bozos that we are, like, oh my God, we've been gutted. This sucks. We look awful. And no, man, he had he
had a plan.
He had the foresight to say, no, we can bring this scoring up internally. We can add a few pieces.
I will eat crow on how worried I was at the beginning of the season.
We have been in not just the top of the Pacific. We have been in the top 5 of the league, wire to wire,
all year, and that's with how bad we were playing in January and February.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously, in those moments, we freak out and we panic, and we're like.
But that's a fan reaction.
Exactly, and we're always thinking, like, if this continues this way, it won't be good. But it didn't continue that way. They clamped down and they fixed it. And we talked about this last night. That's another big plus of having this veteran team that's won.
Yep.
When they go through a bad stretch and these bad things are happening, they don't just
you brought up
they don't just roll over and die. They address the problem.
You said you brought up a good Hannafin quote last night that obviously didn't get recorded, right? But he was talking. It was after.
It got recorded, but the sound of the dogs eating overtook it.
Munching their soft food, but it was after the Blackhawks game, right, where he basically said, we won, but this wasn't good enough.
He was very flat and very frank, and he was like, well, we weren't playing good hockey. It's good that we found a way to win, and we addressed it. He's like, but that was not a good game for us. And I respect the hell out of that.
They turned around and they beat the Preds 3-1.
Exactly.
And the one goal was a power play goal, right?
Yeah, and it was a kind of tight game, but score-wise, but really that first period looks so much better.
Yes.
And as Cassidy said when we watched the post game last night, he said like when your group looks that good on the last game of a road trip, you know they're dialed in.
Yeah.
They're not just saying, oh, back to back, less than 24-hour turnaround, road trip, we're already in first by a lot. In a lot of ways, that
could have gone that way. Yeah.
That was that's what you would call a scheduled loss most of the time.
Totally.
You look at the schedule, you look at the time, you're like, well, they're going to lose that one.
They're tired. It happens. They're human, right?
But no, they found a way to get through it and win in regulation. Not that it matters for Nashville because they're already eliminated, but
matters for us.
Yeah, as far as performance,
And they come in. They're playing Edmonton on Tuesday, right? And Edmonton won last night, unfortunately, in overtime.
Yeah, we were watching that, and I was sharing some of my stepdad's wisdom of don't get invested when it's two teams you hate playing each other, because I don't care about Calgary, but I was very upset when Calgary lost last night.
Pissed off about Edmonton. But yeah, I mean, going into that game, because that's clearly a matchup that could happen, right? And coming in the playoffs, I just think we've got a better group, a deeper group. Jack Eichel is on track for 30 goals and over 100 points. He's I had brought it up.
All right.
He is the number 4 scorer in the league right now. He's only behind Draisaitl, McKinnon, and Kucherov. 3 absolute freaks.
Yeah.
And he's number 3. You want to, and here's the plus minus though. I know it's not a good stat, not an all-in-company stat, but of all those 4 guys, he's got the highest plus minus.
I will say real quick, I know plus minus has its flaws. I'm done pretending it's not worth.
It's worth mentioning.
It's always worth mentioning.
But also look at it this way.
Especially when you, I don't know.
But let's.
It's not a garbage stat.
He's a plus 35,
mm-hmm.
but he's only got 27 goals. So obviously you get a plus for every goal you're on the ice for, and a minus for every goal you're on the ice against. He's got 27 goals for. In 90, he's obviously been involved in plenty of goals. He's a 35, but Leon Draisaitl has got 51 goals, 33 assists, but he's a 30 plus 33. You can't tell me that's more driven by just him doing it all by himself.
Yeah. Well, and let's look at these, right? So Eichel 4 in scoring, and let's just use the top 5 as our group, right? Which is, it's weird to see McDavid at 6.
Yeah, he's obviously injured still.
He's tied.
But he's tied with Marner. Yeah.
Whatever.
Let's use those 6 guys. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We'll use the. Where am I? Okay. So, what are some important stats for a complete player? Blocks. Jack Eichel. 51.
It's second to only Nathan McKinnon.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And that's way more than everybody else.
Yeah. Can you move that cursor up to highlight Jack so it's easier?
Yeah, takeaways.
Takeaways, 28.
That's
more than Kucherov. That's more than McKinnon.
And Draisaitl and Marner are the only 2 that are in front of him.
Yeah. So again, pretty good. And this because Draisaitl has that giant fucking blade on his stick.
Yeah, exactly.
He's got that fucking banana.
Yeah.
Point being,
but look at the giveaways. He's only got 82.
Yeah.
Draisaitl has 87. Kucherov's got 108. Nathan McKinnon's got 109. Mitch Marner's got 98.
So the lowest giveaways. Basically what I'm saying is, I know we all want Jack to win the Hart. I don't think it's going to happen because of biased hockey writers.
Sure as shit deserves the...
he sure as shit deserves the Selke.
Oh, yeah.
Where even is Barkov on this list?
Alexander Barkov, let me see. Alexander Barkov is 40th in scoring. He's got 62 games played.
He's a -1.
-1. And let's look at the...
Discussion over. You shouldn't even be in the conversation.
He's got more... He's got less takeaways and less giveaways than Eichel, but... Let's see, blocks. We were looking at blocks. Where's blocks? 54. Eichel had way more. So yeah, they are already past the discussion. I would argue...
Shouldn't even finish in the top 3.
Yeah, frankly, I'd argue it'd be Eichel, Marner... And
highlight Jesper Bratt, maybe Jesper Bratt.
Maybe Jesper Bratt's got some good numbers. He's a +8. That team has been bad, but 39 blocks. Eichel was at 51. 10 take. Not really. Maybe Pasta's, but he's a -10 though. That team's been awful.
Yeah.
Hagel, maybe I would say would probably be comparable in like defensive metrics. He's
But
a plus
even
30.
But even then, oh yeah, he still has 81 points.
53 blocks, 53 hits.
Brandon Hagel has 81 points.
Yeah, Brandon Hagel's had a great year.
People are sleeping on Tampa, dude.
Yeah, they are, and that's why I like. That's what you said. You brought up that I think Lightning was the best win. That's why I like that win so much.
Yeah,
because you won against a cup contending team.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would take. We talked about it many times, but out of that group, obviously the Lightning, and I think for me in the East, it's going to be either Lightning or Florida. Whoever makes it out of that, first round bloodbath is going to be that Eastern Conference champion, and those are going to be hard teams to play against, right?
Yes.
And even if they're going to beat each other up if they're in the first round, but even if they make it out, I feel like they're different. They're both a different team. They're deeper than they've been in a long time. They're just so good. And with the Lightning, they've got what was it like 25 plus goal scorers, something like we're only second to the Lightning in the depth scoring that they have.
Well, I was gonna say, let me tell you something. Ever since the bubble, when we lost to Dallas in 5 games in the conference final, I have dreamt of a Vegas versus Tampa final.
Oh, it would be so.
I've dreamt of
so
it.
Good.
And then we lost to Montreal the next year, and then Tampa took them in 5.
Easy.
I'm telling you, man. Vegas versus Tampa would feed families.
Yeah, it would be a quite incredible series. It would be probably one of the most watched series.
Because I had this thought when I was at the game, and I've had this thought before because it always seems to happen. Games between Vegas and Tampa, they always are. Like they're like the best games on the schedule.
Like some of the best hockey games.
It makes no sense because they're in opposite conferences, but they play each other like they're divisional rivals that have had
They just know they're both the best teams in the league, and they know no one talks about them enough.
I think that's what it is, because even though they're in opposite conferences and they only play each other 2 times a year, they play each other as if they're these like divisional rivals that play 4 times a year and have like 50 years of bad blood.
Yeah.
Like the games are always physical. They're always violent, as we saw with fucking Hertl and also Brett Howden beating the ever living shit out of Yanni Gourde.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
And then they're always high scoring, and they're just always, I don't know, they're
it's brutal. Yeah.
They're like, when you think of like a crazy hockey game, every year Vegas versus Tampa is a crazy fucking hockey game
on your calendar, because it's gonna be a good game. But yeah, I agree. But yeah, and then we talk about these players. I want to talk about Adin Hill.
Please do, because he has been fucking electric.
I want to talk about Adin Hill. Since the break, I want to go through each of the games that he's played. He's played quite a few, and last night he played in a back-to-back when he shouldn't have played after the Chicago game.
Yeah, we were a little alarmed by that because we're like, wait, why is Hill playing? And they said afterwards something tightened up on Sammy during the warm-ups. But
it's awful. I feel bad for Samsonov, and he should get some games. But Hill should get these back-to-backs coming up. And you maybe obviously want some rest right for him. But he will be playing tough games. He will be playing back-to-back games. It's playoffs.
He's going to be playing back-to-back-to-back for ideally 4 rounds.
Exactly. So I'm going to go through right now in his last 12 starts. I'll go through his last 12 starts. Hill is 10-1-1. So
damn.
one regulation loss, and that was against, I believe, LA, and that was a bad game. And then one overtime loss, or one shootout loss, and that was Buffalo. But on top of that, he's got a .932 save percentage, and the kicker here, a 1.83 goals against average.
And a sub 2.0 goals against average in today's NHL is phenomenal.
And that's with the LA game, where he let in 6 goals.
Yep.
That's with a game like where he's let in 3 here and there. He's having such a good stretch. And another stat is Adin Hill has the top save percentage in the league for all goaltenders since the Four Nations break.
Alex, that contract was an overpay.
Overpay, right?
Vegas are such fools.
Fool for paying a man entering his prime Like, clearly he's got in him. Like, the whole argument was like, well, he hasn't played more than 40 games. I'm like,
has this? How many is he at this year? He's got to be there.
He is at 29. Oh, right at 40. Yeah. 45 games.
Yeah.
He's at a healthy season this year. So he started more than 45 games this year. So there you go.
By the end of the year,
he'll have 50.
Yeah,
50
plus.
Yeah. So
that's what you want in today's NHL from a starter.
Let's go since the All-Star break. So first game back was Vancouver. That was 3-1 win. 33 saves, 1 goal allowed, 971 save percentage. And then turns around, plays New Jersey. Shutout, 2-0, 25 saves. Toronto, a team that can really score, right, Jacob?
Yeah.
5-2 win. 29 saves, 935. Then you got the LA game. That was a fucking shit show. That was a disaster. The team in front of them was also very bad. Gave up 6 goals, 35 shots, 29 saves, 829. Not a great game.
I will say,
team in front of them was bad.
That, and I'm like, you give up 6 and it's above 8.
Yeah, that's not bad.
It could be worse.
It could be worse. You could be
worse.
Be Peter Kochetkov and give up like 7 and be like a 500. I would know that. Kyler, you're listening. Sucks to suck.
Yeah, but we're in the end game of fantasy hockey, folks.
I'm fucking twisting my nipples, folks. I'm having a good time. And then Columbus, another shutout, 4-0 win, 27 saves.
And Columbus, well, they did go through it. They were in a slog at that time offensively, but
their offense has been really
generally that's a very offensive team.
On this Columbus game, this is the first time Columbus has been shut out on home ice this entire season. They've never been shut out the entire season. We did that to them. Mm-hmm. Adin Hill did that to them.
And then you did.
Buffalo, 3-3 shootout loss. Not a bad game. He saved 34. He made 34 saves, 919. Still a good game.
And I will say, Buffalo's had a couple of 8-goal and 7-goal games.
Today they put 8 on Thompson today.
Yeah, they can only
they can score. They can't fucking win when they need to win.
Well, they can only score when the season's over and there's no pressure.
We're in the hope phase of Buffalo fandom.
Buffalo and usually the Senators, but the Senators are actually going to make the playoffs this year, which is fucking crazy. We'll talk about that later.
We're in the phase of where
bad teams
Buffalo's been eliminated. You're like, oh no, they could. They're scoring. This is good for next year.
This is the phase where bad teams have a little surge because people aren't taking them seriously and there's no hope. And then you're like, well, I mean, next year they finished on a whatever pace, and then no.
But he lost that game in a shootout, so I don't put that on him. He had a good game. And then Boston, 5-1. He made 19 saves, had a 947, or 18 saves, had a 947. Detroit, 6-3, 28 saves, a 903. Minnesota, 23 saves, a 958. Chicago, this one wasn't on him. I blame the defense and the team in front of him. He made 18 saves, 857. And then last night, 23 saves, a 958.
And I will say about that Chicago game, it's cliche to say, well, don't blame the goalie for those numbers.
Don't blame the goalie.
No, that one, he made so many good saves, including a diving swipe check, which is different than a poke check. He didn't poke it. He got the blade down and he swiped that shit right off that guy's stick.
Yeah.
He kept that team in it.
Adin Hill
we probably would have lost that game.
Adin Hill is a great goaltender, and I also want to see if they have the GSAA. He has a 9.9 right now.
And for listeners that may not be aware, GSA is goal saves above expected. Basically, this is a stat that tries to take in high danger chances into account.
Yep.
Granted, it's all subjective at the end of the day for whoever's recording this. But basically, those are saves that the goalie shouldn't make.
Yes.
Those are saves that the goalie is not expected to make. If you're around even, you're usually okay.
A solid goaltender, yeah.
If you're way below, that means you're letting in goals that you should have had. And if you're way above, that means you're not just making the saves that you should make, you're also making saves that you probably shouldn't make.
Yep.
So if you're at 9 point whatever it was, that means that Adin Hill is not just making the saves that he has to make, he's making the extra save. He's keeping the team in it,
All right. I also want to give you another stat.
Okay.
Adin Hill's only played 45 games. He is 6th in wins.
Damn.
The only people in front of him are Logan Thompson, Sergei Bobrovsky, Jake Ottinger, Andrei Vasilevsky, and Connor Hellebuck.
Damn.
Elite seasons for people in front of him. And let's look at that GSAA again. Obviously, there's some freaks, right? Connor Hellebuck's having a freak season. Andrei Vasilevsky is a freak in his own right.
Damn, Phil Gustafson. He's doing great.
Doing great.
He's keeping that team alive.
Yeah, despite that team in front of him, he's having a great season. Mackenzie Blackwood, I'm pretty sure I called this multiple times pre-podcast. Mackenzie Blackwood's a good goaltender. New Jersey's just a bunch of idiots. And you know what? He's a great goaltender.
Where is he?
21.4.
What team is he on?
Colorado. He went from San Jose to Colorado.
Yeah.
So they traded him to Colorado because he was ruining the tank
for
San Jose because he was playing so well. But
whenever I see Mackenzie Blackwood, I just remember that really bad season that he and New Jersey had. And I remember watching Frank the Tank. He was live reacting from his spot at the New Jersey game.
Yeah.
He was melting down and he was like, another game, blah, blah, blah. He's like, couldn't score here, couldn't score there. And he was just like, Mackenzie Blackwood fucking sucks.
He doesn't. I've been on this guy since he started playing with New Jersey because I was paying attention to New Jersey a little bit because of my wife. He's such a good goaltender, and he's young, right? And I think he's going to be a difference maker in the playoffs for them. Colorado might not win because of maybe he's a little inexperienced. He's got some youth problems, and shit happens, right? But he's a very, very good goaltender, and he's on a very good team, and I think he'll be good. But back to Adin Hill and that, everybody's like six. What was it? The deal was 6 by 6.25, right? I think 6.25 was the yearly AAV for Hill.
Yes.
And it's like, that's a little rich. I'm like, is it really?
Well, my whole thing was 6.25. I thought that was fitting, but when I saw it's for 6 years, I was like, that's a lot. Not because of Hill, but because
term is long for a goaltender.
And any term beyond 5 for a goalie, I kind of
pretty long, right?
But honestly,
he's still young. He's
in his prime, and this is going to take him until he's 34 or something.
He's 28, so he's going to take him through his entire prime. He'll be 34 once the contract's over, and I just think it's a great contract. Obviously, he's got the ability. For whatever reason,
I realize we sound like we're glazing our own team, but sometimes the team deserves to be glazed.
Yeah,
because this was a great piece of work by the front office.
Yeah, and that's
especially considering that there is literally nothing out there for goalies right now.
Yeah, and that's a good point to make. Which
is why I kind of feel like we're probably going to end up extending Samsonov as well.
Yeah, even if just for a year, just until
exactly a 1 year or 1.1 or something.
Schmidt or Lindbaum will come in and be the backup after a year or two, right? It's just there's nothing there. It's fucking Vitek Vanacek and Alexander Georgiev and just dog shit goaltenders that have really shown that. Despite the team they're on, they will be bad, right?
Yeah.
There's a reason Vanacek's been shipped out of multiple contending teams. There's a reason why Alexander Georgiev got shipped out of Colorado.
That's the reason when they were trying to get one more number 1 pick, they're like, well, we'll send off Blackwood and we'll keep Georgiev.
Yeah, exactly. And, there's not good, right? Like Mrazek and Riddick and everything. Just the market, right? It's just not there. And you have to pay these contracts. But again, it's not a bad contract.
It's not, and he honestly
Bob is getting paid $10 million a year, and he
loses the net every year,
inconsistent, and they're still paying Carey Price to be injured, and
Hill could have easily hit the market this year and
made a lot more money,
bent some team over.
Goalie contracts. Let me see. Well, I love that Google doesn't work anymore. So,
well, no, you gotta serve it up with AI slop.
Goaltenders. All right. So, the highest paid goaltenders: Shesterkin,
Piggy Iggy,
not having a great season.
I would know because he was on my fantasy team and he fucked me over.
Carey Price not playing. Andrei Vasilevsky, great. 9.5 deserved.
About right.
Bob 10. I don't think so. Ilya Sorokin. 8.25. He's a good goaltender. The team in front of him was bad. Jeremy Swayman definitely doesn't deserve that much money. He's been dog shit this year.
Bad.
UC Starro 7.7.
Bad year, but
good goaltender.
It's kind of hard to put it on him. Yeah, we'll call that a wash.
Hellebuck 8.5.
Probably the best value goalie contract in the league.
Underpaid goaltender right now.
He is. That man should win the Hart Trophy.
He's been so good. And I guess I can't scroll anymore. That's cool.
I love the internet. You got it. Well, Alex, you have to watch the advertisements.
Yeah, you
have to watch the advertisements.
Watch the ads to scroll down to see what you're looking at, right?
I hope everyone's enjoying this advertisement-free podcast.
And then John Gibson at 6.4, and then Hill would be 6.25. So he's effectively the 10th highest played goaltender in the league, but he's playing as one of the best goaltenders in the league right now.
Yeah, well, just looking at guys above him like John Gibson. Yeah, I'd rather have Adin Hill.
I'd rather have Adin Hill than Gibson, Swayman. Olmark 8.25. He's had an up and down season. Mm-hmm. I'd rather have him over Bob, obviously over Price because Price doesn't play right now. Soros right now, maybe not long term, but
and even looking at the guys under him, I'm like Elvis for 5.4.
Yeah,
yikes.
Philip Grubauer 5.9.
He was literally in the minors for portions
we watched
of this
him
year.
Play. It's not. Yeah, there's stuff below. Yeah, so Adin Hill's getting paid rightly for what he's bringing to the team, and he's having a great season.
He's getting paid an appropriate amount.
Yeah, and with Adin Hill, how good it is, we brought it up a couple times. The power play is the number one power play in the league.
Yes,
by like a full percent, basically.
Did you ever think we would see that?
No,
me neither.
We've had such a bad power play for the entirety of our franchise. Every year is just bad.
The Steve Spott jokes write themselves, right? But I will say that last year and the Cup year's power plays were also bad.
Awful.
The power play has just always been bad. I don't blame Steve Spott for that stretch that we had him as our power play coach. To me, the big thing with why the power play is so good is Tomas Hertl.
Yeah,
essentially.
And not to glaze him over like we've been doing for the
last... No, it's okay. This is Golden Knights podcast. Yeah, we can glaze him. He's
been a massive, massive difference maker in the power play. Him and Dorofiev are tied for most power plays in a season for a Golden Knight.
Power play goals?
Power play goals, yeah. Both at 12. He's been so good. He's completely transformed. Both of them have completely transformed this power play. And you brought it up yesterday, in the failed recording of how having a player like that and Hertl in the bumper is a complete new player we've never had. But then having a guy with Dorofiev that's on his primary hand as the shooter on a primary side.
Well, because they always say like, well, the power play goes through your number one defenseman and the defenseman plays quarterback.
Yeah.
I don't think that's necessarily true because everything on the power play goes through Jack Eichel on that wall.
Yeah. He runs it through the wall. Yep.
And so obviously Eichel is Eichel. Let's take that for granted.
Yep.
But now, who was our power play? Who was our best shooter before was Jonathan Marchessault. Jonathan Marchessault is a right shot. Eichel is also a right shot.
Yep.
It was not necessarily easy to get the puck to Marchessault for a one-timer.
I thought Eichel was a left shot.
No, Eichel's a right shot. Eichel and Marchessault both shoot right.
Yeah. Dory's a left-handed shot, yeah.
Yeah. So that takes away a one-timer option, but Marchessault was so good that you still had to get it to him because he still had the best chance of scoring.
Yeah.
But instead of a one-timer, it kind of always turned into...
Collect it, yeah.
Yeah, try to keep passing, open up a lane, and give Marshy time to walk in and snipe,
Yes.
But now you have Hertl on the bumper, who is... I love Stone, but Stone is much better on the goal line than on the bumper with that long reach.
Yes.
Hertl is amazing in the bumper. He can corral the puck. He can hold on to it. He can get it off. Doesn't matter if there's fucking 4 guys draped on him like a fucking
he's
cloak.
A moose.
You can't move him.
Yep.
But now you have that, and then you also have one-timer options in Dorofiev and Olsen when he was in there. And then also you have Theodore Hannafin, who are on the point. So basically, Eichel has 3 options to pass it to, and he's gonna get or 4 really.
Yeah, and it'll set up 4 completely different plays, right?
Yeah,
like you can go 4 ways because Eichel will be like, okay, I can go down to Stone, and then Stone can decide, do I go? I can go back out.
Hertl in the slot.
Or I can go across to Dory for
that goal line play that he does where he just swings it and wraps it in.
Or do I go back to Jack and Jack can shoot it? Or do I go back all the way out to reset it with Hanifin or Theo?
And then those guys both have great shots and they can shoot it from the blue line if there's a lane.
Yeah, and then again, let's not disregard Pavel Dorofeyev and
what
he's done this year. Like you say, Marshall Salt's got to collect it, skate in a little bit, and then shoot.
Just because he
it's just you don't have the angle.
You just don't have that angle for a one-timer.
Whereas all Dory needs it to be is on his stick, and it's gone.
Exactly.
It's off the stick. As soon as that puck's on his stick, the puck will be off in milliseconds.
Exactly, and I'll give that same credit to Olofsson, who
also has a great shot.
He spent a good chunk of the year on that spot.
Yeah.
Obviously, Dory took it over, but you don't get to a year-long stat like this without taking everything into account.
Yep.
The point being, they both have that skill for a quick one-timer.
Such a quick wrist shot.
Quick, fast, accurate one-timer.
Yeah. And, he's got 31 goals, and 12 of them are off the power play, and he's just been so good this year.
And it's everything you want in a power play where there is...
many options.
There are too many options for the PK unit to defend.
Yeah.
Because, there was a time earlier in the year, I felt like we were kind of spamming that play, right? Where Eichel's on the wall, Stone's on the goal line. He passes it to Stone. Stone, quick tap to Hertl in the bumper, then Hertl gets it in. Great play. I love that play. It's very satisfying to watch. But teams wised up to it after a while, and you could see it in their coverage. They were just swarming fucking Hertl and just getting on top of him, and he just couldn't get it done. Okay, we can't do that anymore. Well, then we started
passing to Dory,
passing one-timers to Dorofeyev,
or passing back to Eichel.
Exactly. And then if that doesn't work, okay, well, we'll pass it to, I cannot understand why Hanifin is still on the number 1 PP because he might not have that passing and vision of Theodore, but he is, I don't want to say shot happy, but he'll shoot it.
He will laser
and
in to create a rebound.
And he will skate to make that shot happen.
Yeah.
It comes to him, and he's not going to defer. He's like, if I sprint to the right and then wire it,
then we create a chance off that
he's very, very fucking dangerous off that blue line. So again, you have too many options for any PK unit in the world to defend.
But then you could also say you can apply that same kind of, like, obviously in the playoffs, you're not going to get a lot of power plays, right? You never do. But you're going to have to apply that same concept to a 5-on-5 to hem a team in the zone. Mm-hmm. And I think we're one of the teams that can do it really well. And like I said, we bring them up too. Like Colorado, we have the firepower over other teams that you can keep a puck possession in a zone a long time. What matters in the playoffs is making a goaltender move and get confused. Like as soon as you make a guy move too much and it's too much movement, that puck's going to go in.
Yeah.
And that's something that we do very well, and I think something that's Colorado does very well too.
Yeah.
You're not reliant on a single shot and trying to scramble for it. You're like, okay, we can move it many different ways. And because like with Colorado, you got Nathan McKinnon, you've got Cale Makar, you've got Jonathan Drouin's been really good this year. And I'm missing somebody on that team too.
Marty Natchez.
Marty Natchez. That's exactly what I'm. And then
Arturi Lehkonen.
You've got a lot of good shooters and a lot of good passers on the team. Like same with us. And so it's going to be dangerous. And obviously Cassie's going to plan in the playoffs, and maybe lineups could change based on scoring. But it's again insane to see how good the power play has been.
Yeah.
Penalty kill, not great, right?
But it's gotten to the point where I used to literally dread power plays because they would not only would we not score, but we would be so bad on them that it would actually
shorthanded. Yeah,
it would actually suck momentum out of our game.
For the other team.
And then because you know how it is, a good PK really can create momentum for your team. So if we have a bad power play, then the other team's like, oh, we had a great PK, we're down 1. Yeah, we got this. And then suddenly they go the other way, 5-5.
Well, we both saw this stat the other day was that penalties as a whole have been down in the entire league.
Oh, yeah, way down.
Way down. And this year is our lowest penalty for year ever, but we're capitalizing on the power plays that we get. So for whatever reason, as a whole, they told them less penalties, but there's been some awful calls, awful non-calls, calls that should have been a tripping call. Not even just for us. There's some games you watch, you're like, how is that not a hooking call or something like that?
My favorite was Braden McNabb someone got a handful of the back of his hockey pants and yanked him down.
Yeah,
no call.
I think it was Alex DeBrincat. I'm pretty sure it was Alex DeBrincat. Yanked him down. And don't call holding or interference or anything like that, but let that lead to a goal. It was horseshit. But yeah, I mean, everything's firing right on this team at the right time, right? Mm-hmm. Like you're in crunch time, everybody's playing well. And again, this entire week's been without Tomas Hertl.
Exactly.
And Alex Pietrangelo.
Exactly.
Let's not forget how important Alex Pietrangelo is to this team.
And what a boost he'll be in the playoffs.
Yes, because you need a nasty son of a bitch like Alex Pietrangelo in the playoffs.
And someone that's not just a nasty son of a bitch, someone, he's not fucking Racco Gudis, he's also...
Not Darnell Nurse.
Exactly. He's also creating, like, elite offense.
Yeah, and playing really well and good defenseman, right?
Yeah, so, agreed. Everything's firing at the right time. This is something I've noticed in the Vegas community since it happened, but the default is to compare everything to the Cup year.
Yeah.
Well, the Cup year, we also had a bad January and we turned things around. Well, the Cup year, we also had this.
You'll never replicate.
You can never perfectly replicate it, but I think the key thing with the Cup year is that the last portion of the season we were playing good hockey. We hit the playoffs full steam, and then we were able to carry that through.
Yep.
Last year, quite the opposite. The whole second half of the year, we were awful. Barely limped into wild card 2. Yep. Had to fucking face Dallas.
Yep.
And then took it to 7, but couldn't get it done. What could have happened if we faced a different team and if we were playing a little bit better? You'll never know.
What could have happened if Stone was fully healthy? If
Hertl was still healthy.
If Carlson didn't pick up that injury. We lost Nick Hague at the beginning of that playoff series.
And let's not... I always hate the whole, just game 1 of the playoffs. I'm like, game 1 that's not a good time for someone to come back.
No.
Because...
They have no conditioning, yeah.
Hertl didn't even... He came back a few games before game 1, and he could barely get up and down the ice because he was so tired because he hadn't been playing.
Yeah. He had been skating and practicing, but
Stone was not playing like Stone in that playoff series.
No, and now they look... I mean, again, granted, we'll see how Hertl comes back, but they both look very much in game shape.
And even if Hertl does come back game 1 of the playoffs... That means he missed a smaller window than
a week and a half.
Yeah, exactly. Because last year, I don't remember
he had his knee surgery, right?
Yeah, and that was like in the earlier stages of the season, so it had literally been months.
Yeah, he really didn't come back until I think like March, April, and he played for like a week and a half.
Exactly. I think he only had like 5 or 6 games with us.
You're not going to be ready off of that at all.
Yeah,
but I want to roll into that with the standings right now.
Okay.
So I want to go Eastern Conference first, and just kind of look how mediocre the East is. But
pretty mediocre.
In the Atlantic, you've got the Leafs at 92 points, Panthers at 91, the Lightning at 91.
I didn't know the Leafs were on top.
They are on top, but only by a point. It's tight.
I was going to say, when it's 92,
that race is super tight. So by this time next week, the Lightning could be in first place.
God, 575 percentage.
Yeah, they're just insane. And then in the Metro, you've got the Caps at 103. They have clinched. The Hurricanes at 92 have kind of turned around. They're kind of... It just felt like they weren't there, but they've looked really good since...
They've looked really good since the whole fucking Rantanen debacle.
Yeah, the whole...
I think they're playing for pride.
Yeah, yeah, they look better. And then the Devils at 85. The Devils' saving grace as to not being out of the playoffs right now is that the New York Rangers were dog shit.
Yep.
And they're only at 77. And then with wildcard 1 would be the Ottawa Senators at 83, and then the New York Rangers would be wildcard 2 right now, with the Jackets at 75, the Canadiens at 75, the Red Wings at 74, and the Islanders at 74. So it's still tight for that wildcard 2, just kind of a battle of mediocre teams, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not... The Eastern Conference is probably going to be a joke of a playoff series. Like the Caps will get the Rangers or the Canadians and rip them apart and then get eliminated by the Canes or some shit like that.
Yeah.
And then in the West, in the Central, you've got the Jets.
I will say real quick before we move to the West, the East, I'm kind of officially starting to hit that point where I don't find the wild card race intriguing. I almost find it embarrassing.
Because how about bad?
Because no one's taking control. I'm like, guys, come on.
Well, we'll get to the West wild card race. It's so much better, right?
Yeah.
Like 75 points. A team that's going to have a losing record will be the wild card too. What? Damn. The Canadians are 33, 30, and 9. So 33 and 39. That's a losing record.
Yeah.
The
Alex Lane Hudson, he passes puck.
The Rangers 35, 32, and 7. 35 and 39. So you're going to have teams with losing records making it in as wild card too.
Yeah, it's not a fun race in that. Like, well, they all keep winning. Who's going to win?
They all keep losing, and then one team will win and be like,
exactly.
This team's there.
Fucking snail race to the fucking bottom. I'm a week or two ago, I was starting to get into it, but now I'm like, okay,
over it. Yeah,
someone please take the reins
just
here.
Please, someone win 3 games in a row and just let me know it's over.
Fucking hashtag impossible.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyways, the West.
In the West, so the Central, the Jets clinched a few days ago at 104. The Dallas Stars clinched yesterday at 100 points. The Avs are at 93, so that's basically locked in. Golden Knights 98, Kings 89, Oilers also 89. So we've got a pretty damn good big gap on our division rivals. Something that I just realized, the Stars could still finish first.
Yeah, they could.
They're only 4 points back of the Jets. That's 2 games.
Yeah, they could 100% finish first.
Yeah. So, Avs are locked in to that third slot. So it's basically it's going to be a bloodbath either way in that first round for the Avs.
I was going to say, so, there's still a chance for the Winnipeg Nightmare to happen.
Nightmare. Yeah, happened again last year. Didn't that happen? They played the Avs in the first round. Yeah.
Fucking destroyed.
Yep. And then in the wild card is the Wild at 87 and the Blues at 87 with the Canucks at 81, the Flames at 80, and then I would say that's it because I think Utah is done. I think you can count them out, right?
Yeah, it sucks.
Unfortunately, but in defense of Utah, if they didn't lose John Marino and Sean Dursey for 6 months, I think they'd be in a much better position.
Probably, yeah. And hey, they're about to have cap space and a GM,
prospects and GMs,
and an owner, I should say, that's willing
to spend a lot of money. Yeah,
so
we'll see. I can see them being good. So,
and a new name, hopefully.
Yeah, possibly Mammoth, right?
No one wants to be fucking hockey club.
But looking at at least our matchups, our
most likely matchups.
Most likely the matchup right now is either going to be the Wild or the Blues. I would 100% take the Wild over the Blues.
I was going to say, how scared of the Blues should we be right now?
9 games in a row.
Because they are starting to look an awful lot like their cup team.
Here's my thing with the Blues. I think they are playing so well because of the youth they do have, right? Robert Thomas, Jordan Kyrou,
Dylan Holloway.
Where
did they get that guy?
Philip Broberg.
Where did they get that
guy? Sure, Edmonton would love to have 2 guys like that on the team right now. And I think the biggest piece of this whole thing with the Blues is Jim Montgomery.
Yes. Let's not forget the Boston Bruins voluntarily fired Jim Montgomery.
For what? Because their actual roster makeup was dog shit.
Who's the coach of the Bruins?
I don't something Juco or Joko or Jocko.
Joe Sacco.
Sacco, yeah.
I only remembered his name because
it's very close to Joe Sakic.
I was gonna say because he was on the news because he replaced Montgomery, and that's probably his only accolade. And
that
he replaced Montgomery once.
And the team's been dog shit, right?
Yeah.
With everything,
shit.
But Jim Montgomery,
I would put that more on the GM building a very flawed roster.
Cam Neely and
let's give Nikita Zadorov like $6 million.
Jeremy Swayman 8 by change for being an okay goaltender and not being good in the playoffs, right?
But don't worry, Alex. They're going to get a high draft pick this year, and they'll promptly draft someone that will play 20 NHL games and then disappear to Russia.
Literally. But yeah, that team's bad. I mean, they're awful. But Montgomery's a great coach, and I think that's really the reason why the Blues are so good right now, right? And then also, again, like we said, Holloway, maybe you're related. Maybe you're cousins. Who knows?
We'll see.
I think I saw a stat. He has had like 50-something points in the 52 games since Montgomery's been hired. He's been insane.
Well, he's young and he's big and he's fast and he can score. He's going to finish the year with like 60+ points.
And then Robert Thomas and
Kyrie. Well, that whole line, but Kyrie's been fucking insane. Fucking
Robert Thomas, Jake Neighbors has been really good. Zachary Bolduc's been good since he's come in. Broberg has been great, and Bennington's been really good too since being back
Team
from
Canada.
Yeah, Team Canada. That's just a really good team right now.
I still think
we can beat them.
We could beat them. I still think we're a better team. But there's something to be said for just having that momentum
and having a well-coached team.
We just talked about it with us, like having that momentum and being hot and having a good coach and
a coach that's been there, right?
Yeah.
I 100% would much rather have I would much rather have like the Oilers in the first round too.
Dude, that would be like the ideal matchup, which sounds crazy to say after the last 2 years, but I mean, we always say the Oilers suck, but like this year it feels like it's not just us being haters. It feels like they actually do suck.
Like they're not like everybody likes to bring up like that this team went to game 7. I'm like, this is not the same team.
Yeah.
This team doesn't have Dylan Holloway. Doesn't have Philip Broberg.
Well, exactly. It's not the same team because they got older and they got slower.
As much as I hate Evander Kane,
they got smaller.
as much as I hate Evander Kane hasn't played a hockey game in almost a year.
Yeah.
You think he's going to be back and be effective in the playoffs?
No.
I don't think so. Corey Perry is old as shit.
Alex, can I...
Ty Amber. They have 2 offcasts from the fucking San Jose Sharks.
That really says all you need to know. 2 guys that were barely good enough for the last place team. And Edmonton's like, oh, yes, please.
Middle pairing defenseman. But we're going to give me...
I was going to say, I've been meaning to communicate this hot take to you. I think I posted it on our socials at one point, and I'll repost it just to refresh everyone before the playoffs start. I have one really big hot take for these playoffs, and I want it out there. I want it recorded. I want it on the record. My hot take, and this was months ago. It's kind of a little bit more clear now, but months ago, my hot take was Edmonton and Dallas. And now Colorado, I'll throw them in there, but Colorado I'm a little bit more scared of. All these teams, they are going to use LTIR to go over the cap. Mm-hmm. And none of them will make the Western Conference final. Colorado's the only one that might contradict that, because I did not think Landeskog would come back, but it seems like he will be.
But then you could also say you didn't foresee them picking up Brock Nelson and Charlie Coyle, right?
Yeah. So maybe Colorado will foil me, but I will stick to my guns that Dallas and Edmonton are going to use LTIR to go over the cap, which they have.
They are.
And 100%. Goddamn well, fucking Tyler Seguin and fucking Evander Kane
and Amir Heiskanen,
they're all going to be playing in the playoffs, and guess what? Neither of them will make it to the conference final. That is my hot take.
Yeah, I could see it. I mean, here's the deal with like the Oilers. We look at their points as 89 points. They're only really effectively one win up on the Wild and the Blues.
Yeah,
that's not good.
It's not.
If you're the third,
it's all a matter.
We
all a matter of perception, right?
We've seen that situation for us.
Yeah,
happened to us last year. Happened to us. We missed the playoffs 2 years ago, or 3 years ago. So we know how tight that can get. Like anything can happen, right? Like the Oilers' saving grace is the Canucks have just been bad, right? They've just not been good for the entire season. They've been up and down, and the Flames have been here or there. So you've got enough of a cushion, but you hope that cushion holds, right? Because what happens if the Flames just win the next 10 games?
Yeah. Well, they won't, but
they won't.
They could.
They won't. They could. They've been good down the stretch. They lost in overtime last night to the Oilers.
Yeah.
And they had a good
they
game.
have it unlike.
They have a good goaltender.
That's unlike a lot of teams. They actually have a goalie. So.
A really good goaltender. And I'm not saying that the Oilers are going to miss the playoffs because I think that'd be a crazy take, right? But you're in a dangerous position as a team that should be in everybody's mind. Like people that actually watch hockey, we know that the Oilers shouldn't be a contender, but in everybody's mind because of Connor McDavid on Draisaitl.
It's like I said, it's all a matter of perception. You hear the names, McDavid, Draisaitl. Well, it's really the only two, right?
Yeah.
But
and Bouchard's been bad.
Bouchard's been bad. Jeff Skinner and Victor Arvidsson have been awful. Fucking awful.
Nothing that you think they're going to be. Like we thought at the beginning of the season, third line wingers, that's perfect. This is a great depth add. No, they're playing second line.
Yeah, then we looked at the depth chart like, wait, no, that's the second line.
Yeah. Over the hill, Jeff Skinner and
it's not like, oh wow, they finally got someone to play shotgun with Nugent Hopkins on the third line. It's like no, this is barely populating the top six.
Exactly, and you can't come back and like, well, they have Adam Henrique. I'm like, cool. I'm like, what's Adam and they have Corey Perry.
They have Derek Ryan. Oh, wow.
Yeah. The depth is not good, right? And everybody going and saying, well, this defense is sneaky good. I'm like, it's not. It's not.
No, it's not.
Outside of the top pairing, and I would even argue outside of Matthias Ekholm, that entire defense is bad.
He's the only actual defensive-minded defenseman. Matthias Ekholm is a great defenseman. And that was a great pickup for them, which is why you would think they would learn from that and be like, who should we add? Maybe we should add another guy like that. And they're like, no, we'll add Jake Wallman. Jake Wallman's a good offensive defenseman. Don't get me wrong. He's a good player. I still don't know what the fuck was going through Yzerman's mind when he had to attach a second-round pick just to sell him
San Jose got a second and a first for Jake Wallman.
Fucking good for Mike Greer, but why are you adding Jake Wallman to that group? Like, what is he going to? It's a redundancy. He does the same shit that Evan Bouchard does, unless they're thinking that Bouchard has been so bad and we're about to axe him, which I don't know if they are, but
Bouchard. They're not good defensively, right?
Well, he's not, and
Darnell Nurse has been better this year, but that's because he's been playing less minutes.
The third pair,
and then you still have
the $9.5 million fucking third pair defenseman.
You still have Brett Kulak and Troy Stetcher and Ty Emberson. I'm like, that's not a good defense.
It's not. And then one thing, and this isn't just for them; it's for the whole league. Everyone's working under this assumption, well, the cap is skyrocketing because we saw those projections, right? And I think we know for more or less certain that what it will be next year and the next year. Everyone is working out this assumption the cap is going to keep skyrocketing. It's going to keep going up. I don't think it is because of the international fucking shit going on and the tariffs, the Canadian dollar is fucking plummeting. I don't think the cap is going to go up that much. I think it's going to stay still because they're going to have to institute a program where the American teams basically keep the Canadian teams afloat.
Yeah. It's literally going to be like a subsidy.
Exactly. It's going to be the kind of equity program, the kind of subsidy that all these Canadian fans I can't believe why are we keeping Arizona afloat? This is bullshit. Well, guess what, motherfuckers? We're about to be keeping fucking Edmonton and fucking Winnipeg, Calgary especially. And Winnipeg afloat.
But I put that on the
outline.
No, I put it on the outline of the what was the stat? The attendance. That's what I was looking for. The Jets, despite how good they have been, are 24th in the league in attendance. The Jets are the number 2 team in the league, effectively, right? And they've been number 1 most of the year. 24th.
I was going to say, ranked by capacity percentage. So, because I was like, well, that's a small building, but if it's ranked by capacity percentage, that means people just aren't
showing up. So that means even if they're seating $15,000 people, it's a smaller building. You're not filling out 15,000 people, right? But you could also say maybe it's ticket prices. And the Jets aren't that expensive to attend. And in the bottom, you still have Calgary. You still have the Penguins have been bad. But you want to guess what team's number 1 in the standings or in attendance?
Hit me with it.
The Vegas Golden Knights.
Alex, that cannot be true because Vegas is a bunch of bandwagoners. There's no actual fans. Hockey. They're all plants by Gary Bettman to make them appear as if they have fans. Really, it's to sell tickets to rich tourists that are looking for something to do.
You know what? I don't give a shit. The rich tourists come in and have a great time because I've heard from multiple people that are fans of other teams is going, this is a great show. We were at the Silver Knights game on Friday, and I was talking to some random older guy waiting in line for the bathroom who was a Milwaukee Admirals fan. He's like, oh man, the Gold Knights and the Silver Knights, their opening shows, these are the best in the business. I'm like, every single year we've won best in arena award. So yeah, it goes to show things like obviously there's a couple outliers like with the Bruins and the Predators. They've been dog shit, but like the Kraken, people love to go. And like the Oilers are only on 12th on that list. Like they're right at 100%, which I guess you're like, yeah, that's good, but that goes also to tell me like you don't have any standing room only areas.
Yeah, and granted, I don't know, there's weird shit like that. But the point being, Vegas came into the league and they very quickly became a financial powerhouse.
Oh yeah, we're making a ton of the team's making a ton of money. Foley's making money hand over fist. And the city loves them, and you don't think coming into the playoffs is again. I love playoff hockey because that's when the city just goes ballistic.
Bananas. Yeah.
Like every single restaurant or something has something out in the front. There's flags up and down. There's flags in Henderson on Water Street. There'll be banners up and down.
I was gonna say I'm trying to think of who it was. It was a former player. It might have been was it Marchessault or maybe Riley Smith. Well, I mean, Riley Smith is now a current player again. Huzzah. But
huzzah.
Someone basically said they just communicated what we already know. The idea that like I wasn't sure what to expect, but then you get there and you realize like, man, this
Holy
town
shit,
really fucking loves like you can't go fucking 5 feet without running into Golden Knights license plates.
Yeah.
Which on my new car, I'm getting a Golden Knights license plate. Yeah. Can't wait for that to come in the mail. Businesses have Golden Knights flags,
dude,
fucking Golden Knights billboards, fucking Statue of Liberty on the strip has a fucking Golden Knights jersey. Fucking.
Like Stations Casinos is like one of the biggest employers in the Southern Nevada, and they have Golden Knights everything everywhere. They're like a huge sponsor. Like you said, there's just some things everywhere Golden Knights, and rolling into the playoffs. I love the feel of a city that doesn't seem like it's friendly, but now everybody's like, all right, we're here.
Yeah.
We're ready to go. Like Jake and I will be at Mojave, right? We'll be watching every single playoff game and rolling into that. I mean, there's a couple league news things, but not too important. You can really talk about real quick. Probably my favorite news of the week. Not that he got paid. It was too much, frankly, but in the fact that he is quite literally a crazy person. Jacob Chychrun got paid like what was it, 7 or 8 by 9 and change.
He got 9 plus like 9.2 something.
A lot of money, and it was too much money.
Too much money.
But Jacob, your namesake is going to now buy a new car without a battery and a full electric battery and a set on top, and he can buy so many candles, so he doesn't have to have those
harsh artificial lights.
Pesky artificial light bulbs.
Well, Alex, Jacob Chychrun, he's a very healthy man. He takes wellness very seriously. He wants to be healthy and well and natural and all those good words. Mm-hmm. For him, that seems to equate to like eating raw beef hearts and shit and eating livers. No light bulbs in the house. Light bulbs are unnatural. They're bad for you. Everything's by candlelight. He's living by candlelight.
Jacob, what do candles produce?
This kind of like black cakey texture.
Like ash, right?
Yeah, what's it called?
Ash?
Yeah, something like that.
Isn't that something that your air conditioning tries to filter out and works harder to filter when it's more dirty, right?
It's probably not something you want in your lungs, according to the labels on the cigarette packs.
What about like the wax?
Yeah.
Doesn't it have like some kind of chemical to make it wax?
Yeah, well, there's beeswax and there's paraffin wax. I hope to God he's using beeswax, or he'll be fucking choking to death on the ice in 3 years. But yeah, to me the big one is he said, "quote Yeah, we sold our Tesla," and I'm like, "Oh,
yeah,
is it because it's a Nazi mobile?" He's like, "No, it's because
not because of Elon Musk.
We're having weird
Elon Musk.
We're having weird feelings about sitting on a battery." I'm like, "Well, I don't know if you knew this, Jacob, but gas cars also have batteries. They do."
Our cell phones have a nice big battery in it.
I'm wondering what he thinks is illuminating the ice as he plays hockey.
I was going to ask him, like, a majority of your job is under artificial light, right? Like, it's just, and it's worse than the lights that are in your home. These are big motherfucking fluorescent bulbs just blasting fucking light into your head.
Basically, Jacob Chikrin is a fucking crazy person.
He's was it from?
And you can kind of tell by looking at him, like his big old wide eyes. Like,
yeah, he's literally like one health trend away from wearing like a aluminum cap. But yeah, we can wrap it up real quick. Eliminated Sharks, Blackhawks, Preds. Sorry, James.
Goodbye.
But until next week, we have a few games this week. A big game against Edmonton. We'll talk to everybody next week with rolling to the playoffs. The next episode, right?
Strong finish.
Strong finish. Finish. Oh, start strong, but finish stronger.
Finish strong.
Finish strong. Goal.
Stay gold.
I was kind of.